Okay.
Yes, we're just. I got to get things set up, make sure we're going here. Get
Yeah.
you. Like I said, I don't need to be on. People have seen enough of me already.
Oh.
So.
Oh, is that me? Oh, yeah. You.
Yes,
One
it's
camera
you.
of me and one of the audience. Okay. So you're hiding. Yeah.
I'm gonna hide on this one just a little bit. So,
Yeah.
good evening or good morning. What is it? Afternoon? Oh my gosh. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing today? You having fun so far, Gary Con?
Yes.
Day one. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Mike will be here any second, but we're gonna chat up a little
Yeah.
bit here. So I'm just trying to get stuff rolling here. We're streaming from my channel, and hopefully
That's the thing with the streamers. They always streaming. So.
always.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Anna,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because, well, the community is, the community really. Okay, we're live. Turn the sound down here. Community's grown a lot. I know a lot of you who are intimate with what's been going on. And hello, welcome, Legends and Lore, a live Legends and Lore show. We did one last year from
Yep, we
Gary
did.
in a really bad room, if you remember.
It
I
was
think
so
you couldn't even get
cramped
in
and
last year.
There was
into the
people
room.
could barely fit in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was terrible. So yeah.
And we do Legends and Lore every week on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Myself, Anna, and Greyhawk Mike Bridges, and we have a lot of topics, and we have a lot of guests,
Yep.
and we have living Greyhawk people come in once a month, triads, and we have all sorts of wonderful discussions. And half the time I say that's a terrible topic. It turns out to be one of the best ones we've ever had, right, Anna?
Yeah,
Every
we
time.
try to vary. We can go. The idea that we started was Mike Bridges and me. We started the Legends and Lore show almost by accident back in this must have been. I think we discussed back in 2015 or something like that. We talked with Shane. He started the Greyhawk channel on Twitch back in the day, and so when I met him at Gen Con, and I said, you need to have not only the games, you should have a show where you talk about the setting. And then he looked at me, well, will you do that show? And I was like, uh-oh, I never streamed anything on Twitch or whatever. And
Yeah, it
English
was
is
real
not
nice.
even my native language, so I had to kind of think twice. And then Mike Bridges was sitting next to me. He's like, should we do it? And he was like, I'm not sure. And I said, well, if you want to join me, then we'll do it. And we tried. So we did, and we started it, and we had probably I think about 18 viewers the first time, and it was up to 20, 25. But we were both busy with other things, so we had seasons of like 8 to 10, and we tried to we had a couple of guests on, and but it was kind of meager beginnings, and we're not much of producing stuff and so on. And then Shane kind of got busy. We got a new job and stuff, so he got busy, and so he had to stop doing the Greyhawk channel. And then I got to know Jay in that time, and he had an up and coming. Oh, here comes Mike. Come on.
Mike.
Yep.
Everybody?
So
Yeah.
everyone, I am not Robert Wardall. Okay, we'll just
Yeah,
end
we
that
have to take
discussion
that
right there.
story a little bit down.
Yes,
So, yeah.
if you know anything about that
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah, so we shifted from the Greyhawk channel to Jay's Lord Gusumba channel, and thanks to Jay's eager production and really worked really hard on doing it, now we have probably about 60, 80, 100, 120 viewers a week.
Yeah, we average about over 100 right now
Yeah.
on the Legends of
Yeah,
Lore channel on
yeah.
Greyhawk.
Yeah, we try. Our goal with the show is to try and talk about. Hello.
Come on in. There's
Yeah.
plenty of room.
Yep. So no, I'm sorry. I'm seeing Eric here. So so I just have to say hi.
Okay,
I've never seen Eric in person before. So yeah. So I just have to say hi. There's so many familiar faces. Yeah. So the idea with the show from the beginning was not on meaning there's so many actual gameplays that even involve Greyhawk from time to time. So we thought it would be a good idea to have a show that centers on the setting and the lore and people who created it and people who are doing stuff with it and stuff like that, in order to keep the setting alive, so to speak, and make it evolve it a bit and talk about people that do all sorts of Greyhawk projects and deep dives into it, and sometimes talk about old modules, sometimes talk about what people have created for it, sometimes do speculative what ifs and all sorts. We try to vary. We've gone from just doing deep dives of modules to talk about Greyhawk economy, politics, and very kind of esoteric deep dives into the setting.
Theoretical, a lot of theoretical
Exactly,
discussions.
theoretical. So we try to have the gamut, and we are.
How many episodes has it been now?
Oh, we are. Well over
We're in
100.
one. This is like 194, 195.
Yeah, so we're close to 200 episodes now.
Yes.
So yep. So it's been awesome fun, especially since we have so much awesome support, people coming in, asking questions, making comments, coming up with ideas for new shows and stuff, and being on the show to tell us about their Greyhawk memories. We just started a series where your Greyhawk or your version of it,
that's
that
right.
people can come in and talk about their Greyhawk campaigns. We've had some really good ones, and we hope to have some more people that come and run Greyhawk either for a few years or run it for decades and turn it into their personal home setting, so to speak. So there's a lot of
I
cool
like those kind of episodes because when you hear someone else's game, you always hear something that you've never thought of doing before. I
Yep.
think just
Yeah.
when I think I've seen it all, then someone pulls out something really fun.
stuff. Yep.
Absolutely. It's and we had Rich on Longitalis and Dale Assure the Bear so far,
Yep.
and they both had completely different perspectives on what they did, and it was fantastic to hear and just see. And we're going to continue. We get running on series like crazy. You know, like Greyhawk campaign development or whatever. We just keep on, and we'll keep on running with them. I want to ask a question to everyone out there. If we know you by a Twitch name, please tell me. I know there's Von Moku there, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we
Yes.
know
Does
who we're
anyone else
talking to. Is
follow
anyone
the
out
show?
there?
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure my Twitch name is just DH Balls.
It is,
Yeah,
Daniel.
exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Daniel Ball. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good to meet you.
On
Yeah.
forums, I'm usually Alderon.
Hold
Yeah,
on
okay.
to UC2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That came about completely by accident
Okay.
because I had Alderon as an eBay name, and for some reason they switched it to 2Us. They added the 2Us, so I just used it.
Yeah.
Can you do it? So, Daniel, do me a favor. Stand, if you don't mind. I'm sorry about that. Is the T-shirt from Virtual GrowCon 2. Take a look. It's a remake of the Mode House done, and some of the things the community's doing. So we're
Yeah.
we have a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one too. There you
Yeah.
go.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yep. So I didn't even realize it. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. So we have our yeah. So,
Yeah, and
Yes.
please tell a little bit about, we've done every year, we've had a couple of virtual Greyhawk conventions.
we're on number 4 this year.
number 4. We've done charity streams. What is it?
This
5?
year was number 5.
Yeah,
St.
number
Jude.
5. So
yeah.
those are the 2 kind of yearly events that we
Yeah.
do, one in
It's
spring and
all
one in
him.
fall.
I
Yeah.
can't take credit for that.
No, and that's Jay has been the big one to promote and produce these things, and I played a little bit of a role in all of it, but not that much, so to speak.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it is a community
Yeah,
effort.
and we try to make art, we promote it, and
Yeah.
so on, and it's been a lot of fun, and we've had several hundred people participating in the virtual Greyhawk conventions every year, run from like 50 to 100 games, something like that. Some of them streamed, some of them are just played online.
Yep.
And then we have the charity stream that started with kind of, what was it, like $1,000 or $2,000 first time?
Just keeps growing.
First year,
Yeah.
it was only 3 streams, and I did 2 of them, and
Yeah.
William Henry Dvorak did the other one.
Yeah.
And we raised $1,000. This year, I think I had 12 channels, and we did over 3 days, and we raised $25,400 for St. Jude this year.
Yeah.
So, and that was
Yeah,
our
so it's
So
increased every year.
That was year
so, yeah.
5.
Welcome.
Some of the great sponsors, Larry Elmore donated a whole bunch of prints the last 2 years.
Yeah.
All the my channel sponsors stepped up. We actually had one of my sponsors donated a first edition player's handbook that was jointly signed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, and it goes in donator order. So if you guys know Robert Phantom NJ, he got that is because he was actually the second highest donator. Top one passed
Lucky
because
guy.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we had some great. The community really steps up and gets into the giving back aspect, and we're really appreciative of it.
Yeah.
And we'll put the word out there about Virtual GrowCon 4 coming in October. It's usually the first weekend in October.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, Sir Andrew from Warp says he's going to run his Expedition to Barrier Peaks during it. So I'm
Ooh,
excited about that.
that
That'll
is
be a
cool.
new
Yeah.
new person that'll be coming in, and just we have a lot of community
And-
support with that.
Yeah, and
too.
we have to persuade Jay to run adventures he don't like for the charity stream, so we can say that when we reach 30,000, we have to have a commitment from him to run some certain adventure, and if we reach even higher, he needs to kind of dip into even more of the unpleasantness in certain
The
modules that he doesn't
cheesier the
like.
better, yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's one of the gimmicks we have. We run bad modules or things that yeah. So Eric Mona said he suggested puppets.
Puppets,
for this,
yes, I did.
for this year. So Jay had to make a
Puppets.
version.
I did puppets and then some.
Yeah,
and, that was the joke,
last
so.
year it was. Hang on a second.
It was the 2 years ago was gargoyle.
Yeah,
I ran
Gargoyle was the
Gargoyle.
previous year. So we're looking into.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to both the Doom Grinder
Oh,
and
no.
Return to Temple of Elemental Evil in the future.
Oh,
If
no,
we
I'm
can
not,
get
no
to,
vampire
yeah.
throttle.
Exactly. Oh yes, we,
No, it
we
doesn't
need to have
exist.
a when we if we reach like 50,000, you have to promise that you run a Thrommel event or something like that. So yeah, so something like that to make fun and have fun. And also when we done one of the highlights for the virtual Greyhawk Con is that you have a fight on the arena in Altamira and stuff. So
Yes.
there's like a
Big joust.
special event, a
The
joust.
joust
and, yeah.
is pretty
Mhm.
cool.
And it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of people have come on. And I think Von Malku here have won, or you were, yeah.
That's right.
Michael
you
was
won.
the winner 2 years ago, right
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Michael's character,
Yep.
Matthew Barnabas,
Yep.
fighter
Yep.
of the light,
Yep.
a Fultian Cavalier,
Yep.
won it 2 years ago, and he came back as a
Yeah.
spoiler
And
last
He
year.
needs a badge or something.
He has he has a trophy.
Oh,
Oh, well,
okay.
he has
See,
a
there you
trophy.
It's like
go.
he
Yeah, you
can
had
wear
it.
around the con.
Yeah. And you also ran it using old chainmail rules, right? Or
Yep.
an adaptation of it, I
Adaptation of
think.
chainmail
Yeah.
rules we did.
Yeah.
We had Luke Ajax plays, and my campaign plays the son of Melf. So we call him
Yeah.
Smelf.
And
Smell.
the story is
Um,
that the
yeah.
first time that Luke wanted to cast the Melf's acid arrow, Jay told him right up front that, oh, you can't cast it.
It was out of
range
range.
too long. It was out of range.
It's a short range spell, and he wanted to cast it like 300 feet.
Yeah,
Like, no.
and that was so awesome when you just said, nope, can't cast that. That's range too long. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
doesn't have a range. That was funny.
we're getting great participation from everyone. And it doesn't matter how small you are, or if you just want to play, or if you're a name. I mean, we have, Luke plays and stuff, Eric Mona, Ed Greenwood plays in our Greyhawk game, in our
That's
Gero campaign every 2
mind-blowing.
months. And just some wonderful people
Yeah.
are participating, and we feel like there's a resurgence outside of what's going on with the people who own it, right?
Yeah, but
so
Greyhawk has been
Yeah.
it's been a comeback. I remember when I started doing my Greyhawk maps around just before 2000. There was a little dedicated fan group, but not that much that was into Greyhawk. You kind of had to poke around to find a few people here and there that did it, and it's taken off more and more steadily growing, so to speak. And not only that us that have played since Greyhawk was originally published, but also a bunch of younger gamers now that have been playing, even just played 5e for 5 to 10 years. So and then they are kind of, there are other settings and there are old settings and stuff. They're also coming in and getting interested. So I think that hopefully Greyhawk can continue to thrive in the sidelines a little bit, and people can be interested in playing them and keeping up.
Because of that streaming presence on
Yeah,
Twitch.
exactly. It's easy
Yeah.
to reach
Yeah.
out. Then you can also play with, just because you don't have any local Greyhawk gamers, you can play online with people from, meaning in my game group, I have people from Wales and even I have a friend in Australia. Might be interesting, but time differences is the big hurdle there, so to speak. So we have, there's, now you have the chance to play with people everywhere.
So, and it's irrespective of edition. And I want to
Yeah.
stress that I play 1E, 2E. Mike, what edition are you currently playing?
I'm currently playing 5e.
5E. And Annie, you're playing 5 as well?
Well, kind of. I took Level Up, the Ian Worlds 5e kind of clone, so to speak, a version of it, and house ruled it. And the reason I played every edition from first edition AD&D, second edition, third edition was a big one for a lot of years, and I did a few
bit.
months or like almost a year of fourth edition, and then I saw Pathfinder 1 and was like, oh, that's going back to third edition again, and I played Pathfinder 1 for 10 years, and then I switched to Pathfinder 2 for almost a year, and then my players said, oh, but 5e is, we want to play 5e more, so and I switched to 5e, and then but I didn't realize how it was published. It was hard to get to the rules because I wanted to have the rules in PDF or in a format that I could copy the rules legally and put them in my campaign management tool so I can house rule things in it. And that way, when the Kickstarter for EN World's Level Up came, that offered all of that. So I jumped on that Kickstarter and got it in PDF format. And you have a website where you can log in and you can get all the rules in that format. And I can copy the rule from there, and I can make my own version of it, so to speak, for my own game. So I've used more and more heavily house ruled 5e version, so to speak. So it's been.
Well, I don't play
fairly
1E, 2E, right?
Yeah.
And what do I
yeah,
play?
you have one point J or something. So yeah.
2 point J?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
1
say it's
point-
more like 2 point J
1
nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's everyone homebrews. That means
Yeah.
the DM you have to. If you're not homebrewing, you're not. I mean, every DM's different.
Yeah.
Every single one.
And-
So what are we gonna start with?
We should dig into. We have a whole bunch of examples of cool projects that's going on in the Greyhawk community.
We'll pass them around, and they gotta
Yeah.
come back to us, please.
Yeah, we have some. We have some
Yes,
stuff.
yeah, I haven't even touched
Oh
on
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's do the. should we do
Let's
the-
save them for last.
Okay.
The
we'll
Len
save
Kafka
them-
ones
Oh
we
yeah.
save for
Okay.
last.
We save them for last.
All
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
let's. So anyone know Rick Miller? Dewey Carthen?
Yep.
All right, just this is an example of what Rick does, and this is this is his Dewey Carthen's his NPC compilation, and a lot of these are available in PDF, and we've been more than happy to share stuff with you that are.
And I think almost all of this should be.
Yeah.
Or, I think all of this is available PDF. So if you look at
Right.
just take a picture of the
Just gives you an
URL
idea.
and you can download the whole thing. So this is just a printed out versions of them. And
Rick used to be the editor
Yeah.
for Orth Journal.
Yes.
Yep.
And he was really big into 3.5 edition.
Yep.
So
He still plays in 3.5.
Oh yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
yes.
There's some of us that still do that.
Oh yes, yeah. I can understand why. That was for me. That was the big edition when that came out. Yeah. It really felt that D&D came of age for me when 3rd edition came out. So yeah.
Rick has also detailed Aquaria correctly in Greyhawk.
Yep.
That whole continent.
Yep.
As well, and he's also reworked the Veil of the Mage.
Yep. He has.
So he has a
version
lot of
that too.
information on that
That's
too.
Quite
So,
a feat.
A whole
He's-
big source book of it.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. All right, so who here knows Pluffett Smedger the Elder? Gary Holian.
Gary
right?
Holian.
Gary
Yeah.
Holian.
Yep.
Created was one of the authors for the Living Greyhawk Journal.
Gazetteer.
Gazetteer,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
This is, and we all know Isle of Dread got retconned back into Greyhawk at some point, and they did it during the Paizo Hawk era. This is a compilation of the Isle of Dread. Now, Mike, one of your maps is in here too, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You
That's
are
Mike's-
correct, sir.
yeah,
Mike's
Yes.
map. So this
Wow.
is an Isle
Hey,
of
I'm
Dread
published.
Yep.
Compilation.
Mhm. You published,
This is also
yep.
available in PDF. Another great thing that the community has done. And Gary says, you can't show that, it's not final. I said, I've had it for 2 years, Gary. When's it going to be?
Yeah.
Gary never
We have to-
finishes anything.
Yeah, we
He's
have
Right?
to.
slow like
So,
that.
but
Sorry,
this is,
Gary.
it is done. It is done with the Isle of Dread. So it shows, some history, some trade routes, and a lot of great things that have happened
Yeah.
with the Isle of Dread.
And now we.
I'll do mine.
Yeah, do yours first.
I'll
Yeah.
do mine.
Yep.
Everyone knows the legendary Carlos Lysing. Carlos has his own company, CSL Entertainment, and he's the best at producing Greyhawk content and not getting in trouble, right? So he's able to strip out Greyhawk, but it's Greyhawk. I was lucky enough to jointly write Horror in the Holes, so some of us here have played in.
Horror in the
And so
Hools.
there's a copy of Horror in the Holes you can take a look
How
at.
come nobody gave him a ride here this weekend so he could be here?
So that's
No,
a whole
that's the
story.
problem,
We
yeah.
talked about that. We
Yeah,
talked
I
about that
think
off,
it was
but
tied up
we
with work.
tried to
Yeah,
get
we-
everyone, especially
Right.
Greg Justinius.
Yeah.
Greg Johnson tried it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I
yeah.
think it was tied up
It
with
was,
work.
yeah,
Uh,
we
It
made
was-
it.
yeah,
There
it
was a
something
lot of
with work, I
attempts
think,
to
yeah.
get
Okay.
Carlos here.
We
It was
really
an
miss
honor to
him.
write. I'm the only one that's ever jointly written one with him out of his company.
Yeah.
So that is it was cool.
Yeah.
And the artwork's by Chent Mitten. Yes,
Yeah, we really miss him here.
we do. We
Yeah.
miss Carlos.
Yep.
Here is, we keep on passing. So this is new. This is by this is a community one, but this is mostly by
It's
Troy.
Troy Alleman.
Troy
Yep.
Alleman.
Cannibal on the forums and in Twitch.
Another one, Arm of Qualish.
Yeah, he put
Brand
together.
new.
Yep, he's the, and he has a whole
Some
bunch
great
of stuff
maps.
here that he is the main person behind, so to speak, and that is we can.
Troy is like self-taught on this stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's putting in
never
so much
done anything
effort.
like this before, and he's
Yeah.
Yep.
put so much effort into it. It's
Mhm.
makes me amazed.
He is he's done some really cool stuff.
Yep.
very recently.
Yeah, and
Um,
he is the main person behind the Len Kafka archive. After Len passed away.
Yeah, tell us the story.
How
Yeah,
long ago was that?
Sorry.
How long ago?
2.5
did Lynn
years?
die?
2.5 years
2
now.
years
It
ago?
was during COVID. So yeah, when he passed away, his partner Gary made sure that all his gaming stuff so we collected it and we got a bunch of stuff from Len when he was ill. He emailed a lot of stuff to us, and we had Zoom calls and stuff like that with him when he was ill. So we took and he asked us to, or several of us to finish it. So we have Devil's Dung, an adventure that he ran back in Gen Con. I forgot which year, but a long time ago. So we got that information from him. That is being re-edited. Troy Elman has commissioned a bunch of art. I've helped with maps and stuff, and we've had professional editing and stuff done. So this is now a fully fledged old school module with all the stuff that goes with it. And this is available at PDFs. We haven't found a formal home on, so I put it on my website, so annabmeyer.com. You can go there and download this with the maps, and there's some characters and other information. We printed out, or Troy printed out a few copies, so we have them to show around here. But it's Creative Commons, so you can download it and use it and share it and all that. So it's Len's contribution to the community, and we just were the facilitator and helped him do it and put it into a form that can be used, so to speak. And this one was the first. So this one was
Great
the first we
artwork.
started with. But he actually had an adventure, The Lighthouse, that he worked on earlier that was never published or never. So that was something that he. So this has never been published in any shape or form until now, so to speak. That Len worked on, and there's more content coming soon or late. We will see how long it will take. There's more stuff in the making, so to speak. So please
It's
hand them out.
incredible to think that if Lynn had not got involved with the stream,
Yeah.
Legends of Lore,
This
stuff
probably
would have
not
never
been-
saw the light of day.
Yeah.
That was a story in itself.
Yeah.
We may have told it last year, and I apologize if we did when we did here. So, Len was all about, and you all know, Len was all about Facebook, right? And he was always on. He was getting into fights with everyone on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Remember that?
Mhm. Yep.
And I'm like, Len's my hero. I mean, I love Secret of Bone Hill. It's on my wall of fame. I love what I do. You may have seen that. I have 24 adventures on my wall. You know, some of the ones that really formed what I think of Greyhawk, and a couple off, like Dark Tower is an awesome one, but you know, mostly Greyhawk adventures. And I always loved Bone Hill. And for 9 months, I said down, I'm going to get Len on. I'm going to get Len on.
Yeah, you worked hard
9
on
months,
it. Yeah.
I tried to get Len on our Gabbin show, and then Len came on, and it went very well. He came on again on the Legends of Lore, and then he would just show up, and he had
Yeah.
my Zoom ID.
Yeah, so
I'm not gonna say
he
go to
just
Leonard,
popped
right?
straight into whatever show
We're on the Legends of Lore show
yeah.
with some other people, and Len pops on.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of it, and he's on for 10 minutes, and he just pops on. He doesn't say goodbye, he just pops off and leaves.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
on like 40 shows.
Yep, it was awesome.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it was just so fantastic. And Leonard was just the Leonard way. The answer, no. You had to get used to the no answer and no commentary after it.
Yeah, it was just
Sure.
no. That was
but
the answer. So yeah.
From that, we were fortunate enough that Len, sent anything to Anna.
Oh yeah, there was Anna
and he
and
passed
Troy
some-
and me
yeah.
and a few others that had Zoom calls with him, and that there's things added to my Greyhawk maps that he wanted to have on there. So we put some stuff on there, and I'm going to So there is more stuff being made. We made. We have up in Ratik, he has Leyakiel is a
Leyakiel,
place he
yeah.
added, and that's where the I forgot which of the adventures was set there, but that we
Ravages
might
of the Mind.
exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you, Ravages
Thank
of the
you.
Mind. Yep, it was set up there, so that was added in, and there's content. So we're very very thoughtful and thankful for Len, who gave us some extra content when we didn't feel well, and he was really not doing well the last couple of years, but he still managed to help out the community immensely, and yeah, it was fantastic.
One negative though, a lot of people didn't know this, and Len I knew always wanted to. He released L4 and L5 on Dragon's Foot.
Yeah,
He wanted to finish the series with an L6.
yeah,
So I said to Len, and we didn't know how ill he was, and I said, Len, let's get. I don't told the games will jump on this. So I got Steven Chenault on, And we had an initial meeting talking about producing an L6. She's had all these ideas. And then, Len passed about, a month and a half after that.
Yeah.
But from that negative comes something else positive, right? From our relationship with Troller Games now, and something that's gonna
Yep.
be coming out. But that was a shame that we couldn't get that L6. We would have had to strip out the Greyhawk content, we know.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get that one done.
But we'll
but-
see what we can do with the rest of the information.
Yeah.
And we also want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm sitting on a lot of the content, and most of it is old printouts from dot matrix printers from the from the
Wow.
80s and early 90s and stuff. But we're going to see if we can have it sent to collectors that can archive it for the future. So whether that will be Bill Meinhardt or Alex Kammer or something like that, we can see if we can make sure that it will be included in collection and preserved for the future, so to speak. So it's not something that I'm going to sit on and let perish, so to speak. So we just want to make sure that we record everything so we have the information so we can make it available for the Greyhawk community. And scan it in and stuff, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. A lot of it is like everybody who knows Len knows that when he made the town with 500 people, every 500, all 500
Yeah.
stat blocks, full stat blocks, row after row of full stat blocks, and the problem is that we don't have the original data, we just have the printouts. And some of the printouts, that everything didn't fit on one line, so it was kind of, it was a little bit difficult. So some of that is probably not of much use to know what the NPC number 32 in town X had armor class so and so. That might be a little bit kind of overkill when it comes to it. But a lot of the other information is really cool. And also, it's kind of fun because Len and me, we discussed mapping Lendor Isle, and that's been a project that's been underway for over 5 years. But since Len was falling ill, that kind of fell on the wayside a little bit. It's still going to happen, so definitely. And now I'm having the technology and starting to amass the skills, and that's coming. I'm going to pass this around a little bit and talk about a little bit more about that. But one of the funny anecdotes to talk about Len, because he was not that geography interested. So when I was collecting information on Lendor Isle, I said, what about what this area looks like, and what's the terrain and things like that put on a map? And he was thinking, we had a Zoom call, and he was thinking for like 30 seconds and said, well, I'm not so sure about that, but the priest there has a very interesting religion or version of it. That was so
nice.
he was hard. He was not the best partner to work with in order to create a map, because that was not. He wasn't
That was
interested in
secondary
that
to
bit.
him.
Exactly.
This is
It
in the
was-
stat blocks.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
that
it
was
didn't
one.
fit in the stat block or the description of something, it wasn't that particularly interesting to Len. But on the other hand, everything that could fit in there was very, very interesting. And he had that super creative mind when it comes to creating deities and interesting NPCs, religions, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So to this point, any questions on anything we're passing around?
Oh,
now?
yeah, please, whatever.
Please.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know it's a lot of, and everything here is considered fanon.
Yeah. So it's
It's
done.
not,
Yeah.
with the exception of the Carlos modules,
Yeah.
which Carlos has, figured out a way to get around.
Oh, yeah, he has basically
Yeah.
shaved off all the serial numbers, so he renamed everything, so he doesn't use anything. The rest of it is published under fan creation policy, meaning it can't be sold or used commercially, so it has to be given away. So the prints here, Troy have paid for them personally, so to speak, and a lot of the commission art and stuff is things that he and others in the Greyhawk community have basically donated in order to have it done. And the same thing goes with layout and stuff like that. So to have it, so it's kind of these things that it's fun. And also same thing for me. What I do is simply because many of you guys and others paying me to do it, so giving me donations on Patreon and stuff. So yeah, I'm very grateful because that gives me a chance to sit and do this.
I think Carlos has a Patreon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Troy don't have a Patreon.
No, Troy doesn't have a Patreon.
He should, at
Yep.
this point,
He
the way
should
he's going.
definitely should
The way
have
he's
one
going.
because he's done
Alyssa-
amazing work for the
Alyssa.
community. Yeah,
Alyssa?
Alyssa has a Patreon. Yep.
Alyssa has a Patreon
Yep.
and does. And so, and that, the fan content policy that is currently set up allows Anna to do Patreon, me to stream girl content on Twitch, to use it, right? To
Yeah.
utilize it, but we can't resell that, but we can actually collect whatever we're collecting in subs and
Yeah.
things like that. So, yes, sir.
Have you had any conflicts? Like as far as
Good question.
where someone's kind of has a vision for an area and someone else has a vision for the same area, and
Yes.
like, do you say who's got the greatest cred or sale, or how do you weave through that as far as you know,
Cannon fire on a Friday night
a duel?
ends
Oh,
up
yeah.
in a fight every other
Oh,
week.
yeah, yeah, we
probably.
have.
Yeah.
So,
Do you
yeah.
have a
With
dueling
this
group
group.
where they meet and
Well,
duel
yeah,
it out, or?
I think the duels, and at least this is my way of trying to solve things, like, because it's inevitable. We all want and have our pet peeves and that we love to do and versions of it, and we also have different focus. But I think it should be up to the fans, meaning do something you love and then put it out there, and if fans like it, then you get a response. And I also see that it's something that people inspires by others. If you put your version of a city or a town, or you make an adventure, or you invent a cult or whatever it could be, if you put it out there on your website or somewhere for the fans to find it, then you will find fairly quickly, at least that's my experience, that if a number of fans like it, then other Greyhawk creators will tune in on it, and these things have ripples, meaning I get a lot of feedback directly from fans, but also from other creators. So when Mike did something awesome in all, meaning, now
Yeah.
I can detail
Nobody
all.
conflicts with my stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
My stuff's the best already.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
How do you deal with dueling geography? Like if you have someone who might be first, but then someone else who comes after
Yeah.
that's more popular,
That- yeah.
do you change it? or-
Sometimes I can change it, but I let it sit for quite a while, so to
Wow.
speak. So the patience, and for example, is that now I'm digging into doing the planet, the Earth as a planet, and I realize that will be horribly contentious if I put something out there,
Yeah.
because it already, even before I had made a sketch, I knew there was so many competing ideas and people saying, oh, this is trashy, I don't like that, and other people have done it, and you got a few followers saying, oh, it's wonderful, and others say, no, that doesn't fit with my picture. So I knew that it was a minefield to get into. So I realized what I needed to do was simply get tiny little sketches out, talk about it for a couple of years, and talk about my principles, my ideas on how to approach the topic, then put out a few little sketches and detail the ideas a little bit more and get feedback, and then tweak it a little bit. So it's more like, it's a bit like agriculture. You get the soil ready, and you you talk about it a little bit, you're listening in and you adjust. And so be willing to listen, and also to argue not in combative terms, but in more like, this is my vision, and let it to sink in. And so I think a little bit of patience and a lot of listening, and you can, and also meaning if you do the work and you put it in, you found out, it's funny, when I started doing my Greyhawks map and putting it out, it was tons of people who just told me everything it was wrong. and all constantly.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah, and now the funny thing is, now I often think, oh, it's on Anna's map, it's canon for me. I never heard that the first 10 years that I did this at all. And I'm just like a fan. I've never done anything public or like real lore of Greyhawk. I'm just a fan that loves to do maps of a setting that I love. But I try to read everything and try to take it in as much as possible. But it is tricky. So it is a minefield, but you have to learn to, and also contribute, because the community is such a welcoming place these days that if you contribute a lot to the community and listen to the community, then the community listens to you, so to speak. That
Peer
I think,
review.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, peer review. It's a bit like in the academic world. You have to, there is stuff, but there will not be unity. I know that some people would never like my maps. A lot of gamers have a game style, they don't need them, and I'm fully aware of that. So that's, you
Yeah.
can never please everybody, and you
Well.
need to be aware of that.
The pinnacle, though, Anna, is getting permanently on the map, like Mike and I have. Okay, let's be honest.
Okay, yeah.
Mike's all my Altamira
Sure,
are on
yeah,
the map.
yeah. And yeah.
And I don't want to, God, how do I say this? A lot of people don't have that stick to itness. You have to contribute to the community,
Yeah.
not just throw out content. Does that make sense? Where you're doing stuff, you're helping out others, you're listening, you're listening to, you're creating some content, you're getting guests on, you're talking to people, You know,
Got to build up some cred.
Yeah.
yeah, and
But-
it's a slow process.
Yeah. And, but you also get one other thing is that if you do some, and that this is my way. When I started doing maps, I did Greyhawk a little bit at a time. And I read and studied as much as I could for like sometimes for months, for 6-8 months. And then I did one little bit, I put it out there hoping that, okay, people would like it. And I got a slaughter of people telling me like, oh, that's wrong, you forgot this, and that's misspelled, and that's not in the right spell, etc. And I realized that, maybe I'm going about this wrong. So I, instead of spending all the effort trying to make it perfect, I put out something that was haphazardly done, put it out because I asked and said, oh, can you please tell me what should be on the map and so on. And crickets, I'd never heard hardly anything.
How about that?
And people love to criticize afterwards. So I made use of it. Instead of making it perfect, I made something that was haphazard, put it out there. The people criticized the heck out of it. And
That's
I used
the internet for you.
Exactly. And I used that criticism as research help. And when I said that to some fans, they went livid and got so angry when I said that, oh, my worst critics are my best research helpers.
Yeah,
and they
we're
didn't
past
like
that.
that one bit, so to speak. So criticism, even
we're
the
past
worst criticism is useful. So always remember that. So yeah.
Those days are past, though. We don't really have a lot of
No, it's
agitators.
exactly. It's much
in
much
the
better now.
in the discords
yeah,
anymore.
and then it was 20 years ago.
And everyone works together, and
Usually, yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you respect other people's content, I'll give you an example. Anyone know Tommy John Kelly? Great blog.
Yeah.
You know,
Greyhawk musings.
no,
No,
that's
sorry.
David Leonard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's David Leonard.
Yeah.
Greyhawk Stories.
Yeah, Greyhawk stories. Yeah.
He put out I think it was like 24 chapter story about the Hateful Wars. Now the Hateful Wars in the glossography are what, 2 paragraphs in the original 80 glossography, just
If
talking
that.
about how the humans were driven out of the Lort Mills. Some of them went north and killed. Some went to the Pomarge. He tells stories.
He wrote a whole novel.
Yeah,
Essentially.
about what happened with Yolan's consort and all the battles that came up, and it was brilliant work. So in my adventures I run now for special guests like Ed Greenwood and Luke and all, I incorporate Tommy's stuff into my adventures. They're still looking for the main weapon of Yolan's consort, which is he disappeared in one of those battles, and that's kind of I want to pay homage to the great things that people are coming out with. Also, there's David Leonard and Rich Giola have done the Low Road and the Lort Mills right in my area, and I do a lot of adventures that is based on the Low Road. We'll have one tomorrow, right? That we're doing. So, and it's just that's the thing. We want to do content and respect the content and enhance the content other people have done recently.
Yeah.
So.
And also David Leonard also is really good in Greyhawk musings. He's a bit like a combined researcher and bard in that sense that he writes, he looks through sources and he actually lists the sources. So it's partially like research material, and then he kind of writes about it, makes comments and stuff. That's a really good read if you want to know. And he has probably touched almost like 50 topics the past few years.
I'm bad about that.
And Mike's blogging again too. Mike,
Yes,
Mike took a year off.
exactly. That
80
is-
sorta.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's great.
But,
And we also
Yeah, go ahead.
focus on different things, meaning I focus mainly on geography and a little bit of heraldry and stuff, and then we have others that dive deep into history of various kinds, and one molecule, Mike Mossberger here, he's great doing Nyrons stuff
Nyrons, yeah.
and blogs about it and writes stuff, and you're doing first all you did for a while, then you
Sea
have to
Princes.
keep the Sea Princes and stuff.
A
So
little of everything.
and I do Celine, the Ulix
Yeah.
in that area. That's my that's my
so
area.
we have different
Yeah.
favorite topics, so to speak, that we do. So yeah. Okay.
What question? We have
Yeah.
something we're going to show.
I had it just in case we needed
Okay.
something, but I think it's time to
Okay.
should we
Let's yeah.
okay yeah show put that around.
We'll pass this around.
I'm having on Saturday. I have a 2-hour seminar where I will talk about. I will use Greyhawk as an example, and we'll deep dive into my maps and stuff. And everybody will get one of these on my seminar. I couldn't afford to print out too many, so they're kind of expensive. But so I will do a deep dive into it. But it will.
So that's like a teaser?
Yeah, a little bit teaser. Just because I wasn't sure. Sometimes I've been to Alyssa, Faden, and me. We had a seminar at Gamehole Con, and there was no projector, no TV, nothing. So I realized that it's dangerous to go without having anything printed. So just in case there was no functioning audiovisual thing to TV or anything. So that way I put it out. So that will be a little bit talking about various things like the Earth. I did a model 1.5, so to speak, of Earth. That was my first take on the planet. Now I'm in the works of making version 2 of that, so it's been refined and I've taken a lot of the wonderful good criticism and feedback that I've got from the first version and incorporated some new parts and updated. It's only underway, it's only halfway done, so to speak. So that's something I will show. I will also concentrate a lot on the next generation of Greyhawk maps, meaning, and I'm going to take the example of Darlene, go from Darlene maps to my maps. So Darlene had basically, if it was smaller than 30 miles, it was basically not shown on Darlene's map. That was the kind of the resolution of the Darlene map, because that more artistic rendering looks beautiful. Always been, and that was one of the main reasons I started mapping Greyhawk, was Darlene's awesome work. And then my first generation of Flamese map that so many of you are using already, that one has roughly about 1 mile per pixel. The next generation will be 5 feet per pixel. So it's moving down in resolution.
So every little outhouse will be on
yeah,
your
it's
map.
a porta potty scale, so to speak. A porta potty is basically 5 by 5 feet. And I also wanted to choose 5 by 5 feet, both for technical reasons, but also because it's 1 square on a battle map in D&D.
True.
So I thought it's a scale that D&D players understand instinctively, so to speak.
Boy, I hope
1
they never
square.
go to 1 foot per square.
1 inch equals 1 inch.
Yeah, yes. So that was the idea. So
I
there's
told
some.
you to pull that nail out.
Yeah.
before. You
Yep.
had it on there.
Yep. So that's the idea. So I'm going to talk on my seminar. I'm going to talk a
Hard
lot
drive
about
space.
how that goes about, the
Terabytes.
workflow and the tools involved and all that. So.
When is your seminar?
The seminar is on Saturday at 4:00, same time as the auction, 4:00, 4 to 6. Yeah.
And we have a fancy mapping show tomorrow from 4 to 6
Yeah,
as
and then-
well.
yeah.
In this room.
Hmm. Yeah, and then we will dive a little bit deeper, but I think my seminar will be 2 hours where we can really go deep into talking about the tools and stuff like that.
We
So-
should show some things on here, though.
Oh
don't you
yeah,
think?
we can. Yeah, we can.
Let's
we
show
can,
some
We can
wonderful-
show some.
So note the following: that some of us are blessed. Oh, I'm sorry. You got a question?
So, yeah, I had a question.
Please.
Is there a digital copy of the City of Greyhawk map that can be scrolled into and like? Because they're
Not
From the box set.
The box sets have a bunch of different modules and houses and buildings that you cannot find on the map.
So the one that I would say the best map is Malden's. If you can get Malden's map from the Living Greyhawk Journal 1 or 2.
He has it on his website, but
Yeah,
not
it's on
in
his-
very high scale, and that's probably for copyright
Right.
reasons. Even if he made it, he sold it to TS.
Paizo
Was
Hawk. It was a Paizo
yeah,
Hawk era.
it was Paizo in that time.
Yeah.
So that's the latest version that I know of that is, but of course there are illegal scans and people
Right.
have scans, but and some of them are probably just talking about it, which means that it's fair use, especially if you can illustrate, if you write a review or something,
Right.
you could put a small scale, but that I have not seen any high
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the PDF, look at Drive-Through RPG.
Yeah.
They have lots of these products available that you can purchase them legally on Drive-Through RPG, and I think Castle or the City of Greyhawk box set is available.
I own them.
Oh,
Right.
good.
I
Yeah.
own all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there was like a cool like zoom in.
Nope.
ability on
But I'm going to. I can't spill any
Is that-
type table.
Could that be happening?
Yes, it could be happening. Yeah, that's one of the, and this might be the throw. Yeah, I was hoping, and this is just hoping because I don't want to and my hope and goal is to next year launch my mapping the City of Greyhawk
Okay.
thingy. But it will, and it's up to, if I get enough Patreon support, so because it will be probably a 2 or 3 year undertaking to do it. Yeah, and I'm already starting to collect as much extra unpublished information on the city as I can. and I've already found a little bit of tidbits here and there so that I can put in, so to speak. So yeah, so my goal is to try and map the city of Greyhawk. First, do an overview map that spans at least 10, 15 miles at least in every direction, probably about 100 by 100 miles at 5 feet per pixel, and then zoom in and do a detailed map that is like 20 or maybe even more pixels per square feet. I have already, Linda Booth is a good friend of mine. She is great at doing 3D buildings and stuff. We've been doing streaming. And one of the reasons I want to have her friendship is that then we can actually put 3D buildings and stuff on the map as well. So we can make a 3D version of it. That's the idea. That's one of my pet dream projects.
She dreams big.
Yeah. So and I have the technology. And one of the other things that I want to do in order to make it work for the way I'm thinking is to first make the terrain and of the city, and then also to start thinking of the city, make the city evolve from the first little versions of when it was a town and to when it grew bigger and then when it became a metropolis. And then and then we have the problem there are several versions of the city. We know about all Greyhawk fans, we know that there are two versions of the city. We have the TSR version that came out in the box set, and then we have Gary's version that from the New Infinities and Gord books that he published after he left TSR. And there we have two different versions. I'm not sure how I want to tackle it. My preference is Gary's personal version of the city that he published under New Infinities. I like that city design much more because to me it resembles much more of a real city and not little rampage of just the buildings. But I definitely want everything that is in the box set to have a home on my map regardless, so to speak. That's my goal to try. So if you have the box set, and you should be able to read all the stuff there, point of interest, and they should have a home, and it should make sense. So it's a huge project that requires a lot of little, and if you read the Gord books, you should be able to use those books and to find your way around. So it's tricky, but I don't think it's impossible to make a kind of a best of version, so to speak, because I think that will be my final approach to trying to not be. It should not be perfectly match each of them, but try to make a version that is really detailed, that can be a canvas for all the stories of Greyhawk that we have. That will be my approach. Yeah.
Keep in mind that Gord might have lied about some of these things too, because keeping the secret.
Yes,
True.
exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
There are high res versions of the Malvin map. You just need to know where to look, right?
Okay,
And his map has a lot more buildings on it, and it really a lot more locations.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely the best version of the TSR version of City of Greyhawk. Definitely, yeah.
I've got a question for you. It's kind of I don't know if it's. You're looking at the potential future of the maps and even just the world itself, and maybe this might be something that you're going to cover in the next thing. And so whatever you're comfortable with in answering this, but. With kind of like we were asking about the competing versions and such, with the quote official owners and licensors of Greyhawk, have they reimagined or re-envisioned Greyhawk in a totally new direction, and they put tons of money into it? Will you defer to them if it's way different than what it's been? Hopefully, it wouldn't be.
No.
But I guess what I'm saying is. If that were to happen and they really want to develop that with creating new content, and then they have mappers and people that design that world, do you have an idea of how you're going to respond to that, or what's kind of the, I mean, you might be covering it later. So
No, but that's a great question, and we're all
one.
kind of both. Sometimes eagerly waiting for content, sometimes bracing for, damn, they're going to publish something again. So yeah.
But are you going to change to them and fall under them?
For me, it will be very much depending on what they publish, and that's one part. And the other part, where the Greyhawk community, because it's basically the Greyhawk community pays for me doing it. So for me, it will be very much where the Greyhawk community goes. If the Greyhawk community embrace what they do and think it's really something useful or something great, then I probably have to sit down and rethink things. If the Greyhawk community say, nah, it's not for us, and generally, so yeah, it's very much the Greyhawk community. I try to listen in, and it's originally I did my maps just for me and playing, and then the internet came around, and now I'm doing them primarily for others to use, and then I make my own version. But it needs to, so for me it will be very much listening in what the Greyhawk community, what they prefer, so to speak. If Wizard of the Coast will say, oh, now settings are back in vogue again in a couple of years, and there will be a new regime at Wizards, all of a sudden they say, oh, now settings are actually the thing, and we're going to launch new big efforts into reviving the old settings. Definitely I have to react to it, and that might either be they might come after me and say, oh, we don't want any competing products, and they might change the fan creation policy. That's one possible way this can go. Or they might simply embrace creatives and say, oh, we're going to open up this forum so you can put the content there, sell it, and they take a lot of, like the DMs Guild. So that is might be one possible future, or yeah. So there's a lot of possibilities, and right now we live in that fact we don't know what Wizard of the Coast is going to do. It's very much
You
an
could follow the
unwritten-
pattern though,
Yeah.
because like, let's say they put out Spelljammer. Spelljammer community either liked it or hated it.
Yeah.
Then within 6 months they put out Dragonlance. So
Yeah.
they've already moved on, leaving the Spelljammer community to
Yeah.
go back to whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
That could be the same what would happen with
Exactly.
this.
Yeah. Right
They'll
now.
put out one Greyhawk book and then they
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, because
then
settings are
we
not
keep doing
really, it's not their focus.
It's-
Haven't been for
yeah.
several years now, and it doesn't seem to be. But
It's
that
adventures.
can change. All of a sudden, they might not be. They might realize that settings are actually where they have their most resource. Meaning that lore, meaning the rule system, they have now realized that that's something you can't monetize that well. But the setting material is something they could, because that's something they really own and copyrighted and all of that. They're just letting us play with it as long as we're not selling it. But that can change. All of a sudden they might realize that, oh, Greyhawk and
If
all of the
it's-
others might be really
Turns out to be
interesting.
popular, then
Yeah.
they put more attention to it.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a book in 25, 30 years. And
No,
I'm not
but
about
we
to start
know
buying.
you've been in your basement for,
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
for decades here. So,
My
yeah.
campaign's 43 years old. I'm not
Yeah.
going to have Watsy come in and tell
No.
me how to change
No.
things. For example, when From the Ashes came out, it took me 8
Yeah.
years to incorporate about 80% of that
Yeah.
into my Greyhawk, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like Thor
Yeah.
in the Blue. What the hell's this? You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some really, but
Yeah.
By the way, we just did a Legends and Lore a couple weeks ago. Or was it Gavin? It was Gavin.
Gavin.
10 Things I Hate About Greyhawk. It
Yeah.
was a joke. It was kind of a joke episode.
Yeah, but there was some. Yeah,
Right,
There
right.
always stuff we
But
yeah.
whatever Watsy does, I don't care. I don't think a lot of the community would care
No.
either way. I just don't. I think it's all you as a person. You're going to decide what's best for you and your campaign and your players. But on the greater scale, to bring in new players, I mean that'll be a whole different generation. But the community is bringing new people in now that are 5e players. And they're looking for, and they're homebrewers, and they're like, I'm tired. What's going on? Oh my God! Look at all this great content that we have here. This community's vibrant. This community's doing things, and I'm not bashing any other setting. Ed comes to us and plays with us and does things with us and comes on our shows
Ed
and talks to us
Greenwood.
because there's no Forgotten Realms community out there that's really that's really embracing him.
It does
That's
boggle the mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it boggles the mind.
Yeah.
And so he's hanging out with us Greyhawkers, and we have a show. It's always like Legendary Monsters of Greyhawk and the Realms. So, and that's what we do. With, we have these shows with
So
Ed.
you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. And we get to
That's-
see what he's done, what he's doing. He has maps from like 1968 for Forgotten Realms before there was even D&D. But it just boggles our mind that. And the Dragonlance community is stronger, even. There's a stronger community, and the Spelljammer community is stronger than the Forgotten Realms community out there. And that's really, I think that's sad.
Yeah, but I think it can change. I think that there will, just like the regime of have changed before, it can change again. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if settings and these stories and stuff will come back in vogue, just like Middle Earth and Tolkien stories have their interest in them have ebbed and vaned and come back and forth over the decades. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, because there is so much cool lore and interesting stories, meaning all of us here know that they can make TV series about stuff like this if they want to. So,
Got
yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I think that possibly why Forgotten Realms doesn't have the community is because that world has been so supported by WotC.
Yep.
So they don't.
They don't have to.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
I totally
You're true.
agree. Yep.
That's- you're dead on.
I think you're spot on that one. That's they don't need to have a community of they can just sit down and digest it and play it. So yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, and my concern with the question is just was if they decided to pump a lot of energy and money into Greyhawk.
Yeah.
Because they see a potential there.
I dare
They
them.
said, "This is
I
ours,
dare them.
we're
Yeah,
going with it."
and I think
Yeah.
that the big thing will be how do they treat the fan community when they do it? Do they want us out of the way so they can create a new generation of Greyhawk gamers, or do they embrace the existing community in their
Reach
effort?
out.
And,
Yes.
and they can go
I-
either way. So
I don't know. Did they reach out to the Spelljammer community?
No, I
No.
don't think
Did
so.
they reach out to the
right now?
Dragonlance
I don't
community?
think so.
No.
But things can change. So yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I don't know.
But there's also the question of when,
yeah.
because there's such a deep history and timeline to
Yep.
Greyhawk.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like what year you're going to start in.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
true.
Yep.
If WotC wanted to, they could go back to the Vecna era. And,
Yep. Mhm.
And do
Yeah.
a whole thing about that.
Yep.
It wouldn't affect anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many wonderful
Exactly.
opportunities
Yep.
out there.
Do you have something?
Eric?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take issue with you guys on
Ah!
Oh
Yeah.
Zing.
I think there is a Forgotten Realms community. It's just a lot more nascent than the Greyhawk one.
Okay.
Because we've been cut off, man, and it's only happened in this
Uh-oh.
particular edition.
Oh.
Before then, third
Yep.
edition, we got all the Forgotten Realms we could ever dream of, roll around, make lore angels and all the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And then fifth edition, it went down. It just totally evaporated. So there are some of there are sites are starting to crop up. There's still the Candlekeep,
True.
which has
Yeah.
been around for
Right.
decades now, and it's a hotbed of voluntary creation. And because we're allowed to publish it on the DMs Guild
Yes,
and use
that-
all their
mhm.
sweet IP,
Yep.
you're starting to see that's where Ed Greenwood is now publishing
Mhm.
Yeah,
his,
Yep.
his Fey book. And
Yep,
you're gonna see
absolutely.
Rashomon has come out from Joe
Yep.
Rosso,
I
and then
think-
got picked up to do
Yeah,
Ghostfire
that ties
Gaming.
into your comment that
Okay.
Yep,
there's
yep.
a official way to kind of
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I think it's there. There is a big Forgotten Realm fan base community. It's just not as deeply entrenched as the Greyhawk one.
and we also insular enough not to go out and look for it
Ah.
that much. That's probably another reason we are so entrenched in our little world here. So yeah.
Which earlier the comment is like if you wanted WotC decided to do something Greyhawk, it's like you really don't want that.
Yeah,
They're not
I'm
gonna come to you.
yeah, exactly. I'm pretty happy the way it is.
They
Yeah.
did not come to the Forgotten Realm sages.
Yep.
They didn't come to Ed for
Yeah.
various inputs on things.
Mhm.
Well
They
done.
will just they will steamroll right over you and pick whoever
Yep.
they are currently working with
Mhm.
for various other
Yeah.
reasons.
We appreciate that. I mean,
Yeah.
Eric, and I know you
Yeah.
have a different little skew.
Yeah.
You know, you've been involved in a long time, and we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, Dan.
Question for you, Anna.
Yeah.
So your new high resolution map,
Yeah.
is it the same color schemes for everything, or are you changing how?
I tried to make it look like aerial photos.
What do
So
we
let
have to
me-
show,
Yeah,
Anna?
let me show a couple of examples. Let me show the here we have an area. Here we have Darlene map, an area of around. It's this the mouth of the Beng River, and we have part the northern shore
Can't
of
see
Near
that
Div.
on there.
And here is the same map in that I did started 20 years ago. So roughly the same area, not exactly, but roughly the same area. And here is the same done in New. This is very much a work in progress. So it's not anywhere near finished. But here we have the same area. And look for that little. Here we have a red little rectangle here. So now we're going to look at that red rectangle. That's this. So here we have, and there is a tiny little town there that I called Oldet. So, and here you look at it in 3D. So this is the same area in 3D, and you have little town of Oldet here. and you can see it here. It's the from top. The reason I changed the colors is that this is from my campaign. It's in the winter, so I changed it into wintry colors.
Is
So
that an aerial map of the Grand Geneva?
yeah, kind of, yeah. So this is as much detail you get in the future maps
road.
when it just in so you can see individual trees. Here's one tree out there that was actually the tree in my campaign when the Halmada the Cruel. They first when they took over this little town when he ruled it back in 350 something, he buried all the people that lived here when he took over, and then when the Shield Landers came back, they dug them up and gave them a good treatment and buried all Halmada's men, and that poor tree has seen a lot of stuff and gotten a little bit wicked and weird over the time, so to speak. So. Yeah, so exactly. So that was part of my campaign, and you can see
That's gorgeous.
individual buildings and stuff. So this is the scale that I'm doing. So if we go back to the previous, so this whole area is mapped at that scale, so to speak, at that resolution. So this is 3,600 square miles. That's what I can render in one go, so to speak, on my
That's
new
what
computer.
she can render.
It won't be
Yeah.
long, you'll have a street view where we can walk through.
Oh
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. So I'm
Wow.
having more examples and stuff on this, so to speak, and you can see individual trees and buildings and stuff like that. So here you have the buildings. This is a work in progress, so it's not perfectly edited and stuff. So you can see I have a couple of other examples. Here I took that map of the village and simply blew it up to 10 pixels per 5 feet and just made it into my my town map that I used in my game. This one I did in 30 minutes or less. It's like I just took the previous map, put it in Photoshop, and just did a layer over and sketched over real quickly. So you take any area and I just blew it up 10 times and I can use it in a
So
VTT
we'll
and stuff.
eventually get to the point where we can go inside a particular shop and see what's on the shelves.
Yes, technically, yeah. But the thing is, what I want to show is that these maps are also data driven. So you can, what I want to in the future is to have all the raw data for this. So you can take the data and you can switch it out and paint in houses where you want them or trees where you want them and stuff like that. So the shading is on one layer, so you can change the colors and the shading is still available on top, so to speak. So you can make a winter version of it, or you can have fall colors, or you can say, oh, we have a demon invasion and they burn down half the county, so you can make it gray and ash, full of ash and stuff like that. So you can. So the idea is that you should be able to download the data and tweak it to the way you want it, so to speak. So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Have you found when you're doing your maps in the cities that there's not enough farmland to support this population?
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah.
Like that seems like.
Oh, yeah.
When I run a campaign, it's
Mhm.
like, wait, where'd all the farms go?
Yeah. And if yeah and
Are you adjusting that?
yeah, look at here, for instance. This is a part of it here. So here you have farmland, several square miles around it, or large area around it, and I even made roads down here, so you can go down and I didn't take. Hang on a second. We can probably go out. Yeah. So here you can see that there is quite extensive farmland
Okay,
around,
good.
so to speak. And also this area, this was overrun by IUs, which means that a lot of this farmland is now been 15, 16 years not of use.
Right.
So it's starting to disappear. So you can see there vanishing parts of the land is kind of slowly convert into just general heath or grassland, so to speak. So it's, letting the stories dictate what the land actually looks like, so to speak.
You think of everything.
I try to. That's part of. My DM philosophy is to always be one level deeper than the players think of that they need, so to speak. So the maps and the details in the world building should go one level deeper than the players think of asking, so to speak. That's good enough. But I usually go even deeper than that sometimes. So especially when fans love to use my maps. So yeah. But that's an example. Here you can see that the trees are knobs in the terrain, so they're actually trees and stuff. So that, and I will go through how these are made and how you can make own versions of them and stuff. Yeah.
Something my players are begging for from me is, where are permanent teleportation circles?
Oh.
Like 5th edition.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there isn't really anything out there to
No.
We-
guide us on. I obviously in the big cities, there's a lot of.
Yeah, I think Roger has some input on that because he written a couple of articles that
Yeah.
really talk about that topic
Gates.
in depth. Yeah, gates and stuff in Greyhawk. Yeah.
It's kind of interrupted at the moment until Earthreal gets on its feet again.
Okay,
Thing, but
okay.
I do have
Yeah.
an article in print.
Oh, that's great.
We're waiting
Alright.
for that
Press
one.
right now
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That talks about things.
Yep.
I
Awesome.
want to make more of a distinction between teleport circles or teleportation areas like in the old Giant series.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
actual gates moving from plane to
Oh,
plane,
nice.
world to world.
Yeah.
You know,
Wonderful.
So, I will work on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, teleportation circles will be a lot more common than gates. without
Okay.
any question,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great.
Are you thinking of any like layers that can be put on there? Like if you really were in love with that, you could have that as part of your world. But if you were someone who didn't want that and you were kind of playing maybe a lower magic setting.
I don't want to
didn't
to hog the whole seminar here, but we
We're going off into campaign.
yeah. So we got. I have 2 hours seminar where we can dig deep into it, and here just to show a little bit that what I've done. Here is 225 square miles in detail with layering and stuff like that. So you have names and stuff on it, and just to show off a little bit of what a town can look like. Here is Dellard and stuff. So and you can kind of zoom in
Question?
and see stuff. Yeah.
So there could be options to take that off.
Yes. Oh yeah. That they are on separate layers, so you can download a layered Photoshop and
Okay.
simply I don't want a town there and remove it, or I want to add some buildings here and there and roads and all that. It's separate on layers just so it could be customized. That was one of the biggest criterias of a new mapping technique, is to have everything on separate layers so it can be added, customized and tweaked. That was because I want to run it my way, and I know every one of you want to run it your own way, so to speak. So
Yeah.
so they should be customizable. That's part of it. Yeah.
So just like, so you know, like unintended, like taking down to layers.
Yeah.
Like, you know, taking that off, here's the subterranean layer, and then.
Yeah, I'm working on ideas on doing that too. Yes. I don't have anything real to show, but I will talk about the problems and some possible solutions to it on my seminar.
Very
So
good.
go
Nice.
deep in technical. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then even like there's a new moon or something like that, and
Yeah.
then like a different color scheme.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So there are a bunch of stuff about that. I want to go deep. 2 hours will just deep dive into how this is done and things to think about and stuff like that. Yep.
So what else should we discuss here, Anna?
Yeah.
Should we talk? Should we,
Projects.
new projects?
Yeah. Exactly. Now you have here.
Yeah.
there
So
you go. Mhm. I'll find the
find
slide for
find a
this.
slide or
Yep,
two
mhm.
here. So Anna and I are partnering with Choler Games to bring out my city, the Free City of Altamira. It will be ported over to Aird, but, and this is a funny thing, we got a approval letter from the previous director, Ray Whittinger, that we are allowed to put in a supplemental free download and say, this is where it is in Greyhawk, this, and this. So we're making sure we're keeping that document so that they don't
Woohoo.
ever, yeah.
Gonna frame it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
right. So, but it's going over into Aird, and I had to make one or two minor changes. But most of my stuff is homebrew. It's not. And instead of the Order of Ulick, we're just going to call it the Order of Altamira, and that solves that problem. But most of the stuff in my setting does not use a lot of names that are from the Greyhawk original publication.
Look at that.
So, yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
And I can tell the maps will be dual use, so to speak. So they will work in both the Troll Lord box set, and I will also keep them and integrate them into my future Greyhawk work, so to speak, as well. So we will have there might be some changes because in the surrounding landscape we'll see what the Troll Lord want for Aird, but I'm going to keep it, and I've already mapped probably about close to 5,000 kilometers or square miles.
Yeah.
To use for my future Elvin campaign in this area, so to speak. So this is the first full. The Shield Lands area was my test bed where I've developed for my own game, own campaign. I usually use my own campaign as a test bed because you might need to do revisions or there's like things that doesn't work. So this is the first full-scale project that uses the technique, so to speak. So yeah.
We will have that seminar. It's actually just a meetup. Is tomorrow at 1,
Yeah.
from 1 to 2:30 in the Chop House. So there should be some refreshments served,
Yeah.
and we'll just show some things. And anyone who comes
You
gets
can- there's what this
a little
yeah.
in the honor of the Great Free Greyhawk box set. As we go with the Kickstarter and everything, we're gonna have adventure cards just like in the Free City, which I thought was a brilliant idea. Here is my first teaser adventure card for it, and anyone who shows up, we'll give you an adventure card tomorrow.
And if you look at the map here, you can see I put here is the jousting place.
Yes, a
and
lot
I
of-
used Jay's pictures from his game table as a reference. So the buildings and the trees are actually, you can see the little tents and stuff here, so to speak. And then I put the arena here. Those are just my location. I haven't
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
I haven't
absolutely.
even checked with Jay. I just put them there before the con, so they are placed here, so to speak. And we talked about various features.
Do you
and
have any
stuff.
of the original pictures on your on there? Just show,
Yes,
just
I
show,
do. I
show
think
the
I
reference.
do somewhere. So
If you- you know,
I
just to
think-
show what,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I have somewhere. Let's see here.
It's
I
part of
might
the-
not. I
It's
might
okay,
not.
it's not a big
Yeah, I
deal.
don't think I have them here. Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
part of the fun of Greyhawk.
mhm.
Greyhawk is so wide open.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want for most. I mean, just think about it. And Michael, you know, there's Niron. I mean, Niron's barely developed.
It's huge.
Huge.
Yep.
It's barely developed. Great Kingdom's barely developed. You know, you had Ebony and Dying, but
And
it's
this
still
is also 3D,
yeah.
so it's
there's
not
so
only
much
2D.
open
So
territory.
we can see
Yeah.
the city in 3D.
Yeah, and that would
So,
be
yeah.
in Greyhawk would be the Jewel River coming down. It's just forest on
Yeah.
one side,
Yes.
you know.
Carwood
So,
is up here, and,
Yeah.
and then the Jewel River.
but we
It's
found
this-
we
this
placed
way.
it in a spot in air
Yeah.
where it fits the terrain perfectly.
Yeah. So this
Cool.
is the Jewel River flowing here, so and it disappears out that way. And the water is not anywhere near done. It's just a even blue, and so this is very much a work in progress.
Yeah.
But it shows kind of what the final maps can start looking like. You have forests and buildings. And
Now the
stuff
forests
like
weren't
that.
in last time I saw this. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah, I added it. There, nothing is final, but they're starting to get there. We can show a couple.
We got the
more.
kumquat
Here-
groves in there.
Yeah. So here is a little bit more where you see. So you have an aqueduct that takes from this stream and
Some
put in
awesome
there,
stuff.
and so this is kind of a little bit what
Genius
it
stuff
looks
by
like.
Anna.
Yeah. So we have some more, and this is it's more. And you can see you can see the height of the buildings and stuff like that. I painted in to make it look like an aqueduct, so I repainted the shadows to have these kind of arcs because you can't see them from, but I painted them in, and that all of a sudden that adds to it, so to speak. So, and this will be something that Jay has to decide where all the buildings need to
Yeah.
go and stuff like that in the future. So yeah.
I have a random GM question. So Greyhawk is riddled with roads, like all lines. What's the standard road maintenance you guys use for like there? Like, cause like they're still there.
Mhm.
So like,
Right.
what is a country? I know it's probably nation event dependent, but like who's road maintenance? Cause it never like there's garbage, like there's sewer workers.
It's a good
Yeah.
question.
It's like
Yeah.
all kinds of other workers that are
Yeah.
in the world,
Yeah.
except who's doing the road.
Yeah.
Whoever is currently in
In
charge.
Yeah.
If you play Greyhawk Wars, it's whoever
Right,
conquered
Greyhawk,
that area.
they know who's in charge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why on my map I put it into three
Right,
categories:
which is
primary,
beautiful.
secondary, and tertiary.
Yes.
And
Right.
tertiary is something like that might work fairly well parts of the year, so to
Right.
speak. And secondary, they will probably work most of the year. And primary roads, meaning they're more or less constantly maintained and patrolled and all that.
Now, if
So-
you're talking about the land of Ayus and the road of
Yeah.
bone, the road of skulls,
Yeah.
then it's the clerics of Ayus who are in charge of road maintenance.
Yeah, and we have
No.
the Dira
They will
Bane
pay
of
for
Old Grey
skulls.
Kingdom and stuff
Yes.
like that. And
Which are magical.
yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah.
even
So,
from
they
the
might fix
even the
themselves.
Undying that they fix it, basically self-repairing roads that fix themselves, which is kind of neat. So
And in Ol,
Yeah.
what's a road?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a road.
It's just
Yep.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
ton.
Yeah. And we can also assume that in a fantasy world where rivers and creeks and stuff aren't, they don't regulate them with dams and stuff like we do in the real world. Meaning major engineering is on a different level, so you can assume that parts of the year they are kind of overflowing and stuff like that. So especially during spring floods, there's probably a lot of places where you can't even go. You have to basically swim, or you can't go, and bridges and stuff are probably non-existent in a lot of places, especially. So there might be a few months of the year you can't go across there, but you have to kind of paddle across or something like that. So
the
yeah.
more governmental
Yeah.
region, Shieldlands, Greyhawk,
Yeah.
the roads are maintained by the government, not a guild, which
Well,
most of the world has.
Yeah, and also
That's a
the,
good question.
No guild of road workers.
Yeah, and also the-
Which seems weird that they should have,
Mhm.
right?
Wizards Guild, Unseen Servants.
Yeah, yeah. And also the government is also very different in different areas.
Right.
Meaning most of it will be the local lord that will be responsible for doing it in his realm, so to speak, within his boundaries.
Right.
And then he might outsource this to the local serfs or wherever lives in that little village or thorp. And they might be lazy or simply not have the authority. So they might only do it when they think that the Lord will come and check on them, so to speak. But
They
it's-
need to set toll booths
Yeah,
to
exactly.
steal the players'
Yeah,
money.
exactly. That's
when
the
you're
thing.
going from A to B.
Yeah, and there might be all sorts of other stuff,
Yeah.
and that way. So
So
yeah,
everyone's gonna get a Greyhawk pass.
yeah. Mhm.
I don't think there are a lot of governments that would even. A lot of it's just by traffic. I think personally, I think
Yeah.
Furiandi, Keeland,
Yeah.
Nairon, Ernst.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean,
And it's a great
Wild Coast. I don't know if there's a lot of
Right.
road maintenance
Yeah.
going on. You know,
And-
so
and
it's
yeah, and
dirt
it's a
tracks
good
and
source
it's a
In the
question.
city of Greyhawk box that there is a river road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't remember how far down it goes, if it goes all the way to Hardby or not.
I think it
Yeah, it
does.
does. It
Yep.
parallels.
So there's got to be some kind of shared cost there, right?
Yeah.
Hardby and the city. of
Yeah,
Greyhawk?
and I also assume that road was used like a lot. If you go to Europe, when they had old canals from Middle Age, they often had a little road that was built next to it, so they could have horses or oxen that actually pulled the boats up the rivers that way. Yeah.
Goes through Oneford and Twyford.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So I could see that road can have dual use to be able to help out the river traffic.
You know what just
itself,
happened?
too.
He just came
Yeah.
up with a topic for a show that we could have covered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And-
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's another question.
Yeah.
If Oneford and Twyford are fords, how's the river traffic?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something we've been bouncing around.
Yep.
How do you get major ships from Greyhawk out to the Woolly Bay if they're fords?
Yep. Yep.
And you know, it's just one of those questions that I
Yeah.
think it was some
But then
oversight.
it could be
yeah.
a reason
They
to
have a
have.
complex lock system.
No mission, no
That's-
mission engineering.
Yep.
Right?
That's
Yep.
what gets through.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting
Yeah, and
questions
the
that
forts
come
might
up.
be dug out in the middle, and someone put like a type of bridge that could be open and
Right.
closed, and that will be a perfect way to take up a toll both from the river traffic and from people who wanted to cross the river.
I had it as an early Greyhawk, they didn't need the river traffic going out to Harvey.
Yeah.
But later on, they removed the fords because the city got so big, they needed to get from
Right.
the near div out
Yeah.
and down.
Anna also has another theory about the Celantan that it's actually a canal north of Greyhawk.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was my way of solving
Yeah.
it, because in nature,
makes
in the
sense.
real world, after a while, a lake will simply reduce the surface level will go down until there is only one outlet.
Right.
It will not keep two outlets for long, so to speak. That can happen after like an ice age or a major when you have a huge inflow. Then the temporarily the lake surface might be high enough so you can have multiple outlets, but over time it will settle down until where you have the lowest output, so to speak. And to me, it looks like the geography that the Nesser is the big kind of natural outlet, so to speak. And Salintan to me looked more like it was man-made. So in my campaign, it was like during the Great Kingdom had the engineering resources, and they dug out that valley through the hills and made that into a canal, so to speak. So and then they have a lock. And the difference I have between Nurduv and the ocean is only so minor that you only need to have like one lock up there and one south, and that also made the city of Greyhawk a port on Nurduv as well as have river access to the ocean. So So that was the way I dealt with it in my campaign. So I turned that stone bridge into where you have the upper locks and then the sagging bridge to where you have the lower
It's
locks.
too close to home.
And that way you can also regulate the water level so the city can have a steady, more controllable water level, and therefore can also, that will be beneficial for commerce and for habitation generally and stuff like that. So yeah.
Here's another Anna-ism you're gonna really love.
Uh-oh.
Look at the near Dive and look at the southern area. You have divers, right? But there's nothing, right? There's
Oh yeah,
nothing
the
along
peninsula and
the
stuff.
peninsula.
Is,
Why isn't there any stop points?
Yeah,
It's a
there
trade
is
route,
the
right?
peninsula
Nothing.
should be one of the most hotly or most
Yeah.
usable real estate in the
So-
whole setting, and there's nothing there.
Ogres.
Yeah, ogres. So,
That's
so
why.
that, and I think it might have just been coincidence. I don't know if there was any attempt to do it, but there's hardly no content or that produced for the area, and so that's why I made it so hilly, so it should be at least not usable for arable land much and
I
stuff. So,
actually
yeah,
think on the shipping lane map,
yeah,
there's no shipping current that goes along that peninsula.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is why
Yeah.
there's no settlements, because you actually can't get to it
Yeah.
easily
Mhm.
with the boat craft.
Yeah, yeah. So I tried to make it, and one of the other anecdotes on my map is that the hills around Greyhawk are red, just and orange, just like the Greyhawk logo. So I just assumed that the Greyhawk logo was kind of chopped out of one of these rocks, so to speak. So that's why I made those hills, and also because the Darlene hills are orange like that. So that was the homage both to Darlene and to the Greyhawk logo. So I made those hills that color for that reason.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Nice.
How are we doing with
One
time?
other question.
Yeah.
We got
we got
a
time.
little
Okay.
What other questions do you have?
Yeah.
Anything.
More ideas for.
Throw
for-
me in
Yeah,
there.
please just throw them out there.
I got a question for you, Joe.
Yeah, sure.
You've had, what is it, 43-year campaigns?
We're at Saturdays will be number 993 adventure. Yeah,
And you've got multiple character groups.
27.
How
too much.
do you manage time in the game?
So
Yeah,
Calendar
good
and
question.
flow of time.
a lot of it has to do with I look at my game as a bad TV show where we're bouncing all around, and we may have a group. Well, that happened three months before this other group's even going.
Flashback.
You know, I
Flashback.
mean, it's not completely linear. So I may be running the Night Stalkers, but then we're going to run the Harvey Irregulars, and that was 2 months earlier. Normally, it's recently been a year to year. I've been doing 1 year change, and that takes about a day and a half to 2 days to change the age on every character sheet. We have about, 2,000 PCs and NPCs, but that's kind of the way I do it now with all the groups. And with all the special groups, I mean, 2 drink minimum. Eric, Anna, Ed Greenwood, Eric Boyd, Tony Winslow Brill, and then a special guest. Every 2 months to 3 months we play. And I gotta consider, I don't want the time like flying off. I'm already at 6:23. That's far enough in the future. So I've really slowed it down as far as time goes. And that's it. With the groups, it's not that hard to do because we're not running, unlike other channels and streams, I'm not running the same group for 12 straight weeks. We're bouncing around every 2 to 3 weeks to a different group, and that kind of makes it manageable with time. It's a great question.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
calculate in downtime between sessions and stuff
For,
like
for
that?
those other parties, like someone
Uh-huh.
wants to do something in
Yeah.
their spell books, or they want to get new armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many time units does that cost?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
exactly. Casey will
living Greyhawk.
demand you to know
Yeah.
how many time
Yeah.
units
So,
he has to spend.
but that's I appreciate that question.
So
Thank you.
are you tracking that on a calendar?
No,
or-
no, no, that's too much. No, I don't. No, I don't do something during the 12th day of Mead Fest. We don't. My guy, see, I think we all agree. We get to a point with our players, and we know what our players like, and we know what your players don't like.
Yeah.
My players do not like detailed day-to-day logs, and they don't. They're not really worried about what the date is.
Yeah.
They may be worried about the season, but not. So I've adapted to my players' style, and from that comes everything else that we do. I keep a lot of detailed records. Why won't I keep detailed records of the calendar? Because my guys just aren't interested
Yeah.
in that as
I
much. So
wanted to
yeah.
show the tool that I'm using. I have
No,
calendar
Anna's
built
different.
in here.
So it has the
I does
opposite.
stuff day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah.
I used to keep pretty good timelines of my campaigns, but then I got older and lazy. So,
Yeah.
It's nice for the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I keep
Absolutely.
And I can probably show. Let's see. I can show
We-
large calendars. So yeah, I use Obsidian.md. And I
Wow.
keep my campaign, so I put in
So it's
campaign events,
high-tech.
historic events, and
Oh my
moon
gosh.
phases, and the whole shebang. And
Wow.
this is a really, I can recommend. It's a free open source tool. It doesn't cost a penny, and it comes. You can have dozens of plugins, so I can have my monster stat blocks and die rollers and the whole shebang. So it's awesome. So I can have and whatever. So you can put in the yeah. So I just love this tool. It's Obsidian.md. It's Obsidian. It's a tool for researchers and various people to store and process information of various kind. And it's using what's it called? It's a standardized data format that you can use. So this stat block, for instance, is just like this. It's a and then it has a plugin that formats it like this. And I can go in and click and get a die roll done. That was roller 1, so that was not that good. And you can roll damage and all that in. And I use that in my game, so I can just have it in the carrot sheet. I can store all the events and data and everything in it. So I just love it. And I can share it between computers and my phone and all that, so to speak. And it doesn't cost anything. so-
Roger was going to say something.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. One of the things I'm working toward, since we're talking about future projects, in the article that's gonna be coming out in North Shore, when I was talking about gates, one of the things that I kind of got off track at one point, started talking about the 5 parallel worlds that Yuri Gagarin said hypothesized back, what was it, 1984, in a polyhedron article, Earth, Orth,
Yerth.
Air,
Mhm.
Yarth,
Yeah.
so forth and so on. I discovered, kind of poking around at it, you could actually make some inferences about what they would be like based on the extremely limited information that it gave. And one of the things I'm working on right now is talking about, like, if you wanted to create Yarth, which is the one that seems to have the most potential for doing stuff, where you would assume if you say it's about 50% magical powered, 50% technology powered, what would you get? There's a million different ways it could come out, and I was going to try and work at that, and not to be developed as a full campaign setting, but to be developed as an adventure setting. You go through a gate and you come out in Yarth for some reason, and you're doing it on purpose. So
Yeah.
why would you do that?
Mhm.
And what would you find?
Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Really looking forward to see that. Yep. And read that.
What else do we have question-wise? Yes.
Yeah.
Just an idea, I mean, I pull up a lot of your maps for different modules and stuff, and I kind of figure out how to do my own thing. One thing is, I don't know if it's an idea that's worth anything or where it could go, but like a set of module maps. So if it's a specific module, whether it's something that's newly created, like something by Carlos,
Mhm.
or something that's a more of a historical thing, it wouldn't have to be really involved, but approach maps and detailed maps alongside the ones that were originally
Mhm.
published, but their
Yep.
own thing that actually
Yep.
would be the detail
Mhm.
that would match the world that you
Yep.
have the geography for, and it may only be just a few things. It
Mhm.
may not be much.
I-
Do you have that?
No, but
As a-
I want to call it iconic locations.
Yeah.
And so you can see, because now we take Temple of Elemental Evil, meaning it's one of the most iconic locations in the whole setting. So it's an easy reference. Most of us here, we see the maps enough. We can remember them by heart. And I want to show, because we know what the temple itself looked like, and the next 200 feet maybe. My idea is to take what I've done like this, or for my shield land, and put a map from all the way from Verbobonk to the temple, or at least from Homlet to the temple, so you have the whole bit at 5 feet per pixel. So you get where the knob and the temple, so you can kind of wander around both knob and the temple, and you can kind of have a little camp out half a mile away and overnight, and then you can take
You
an
want to
excursion.
reenact the Battle of Emerald Meadows?
Exactly. Yes, and we
Yep.
can have that's my idea to
Okay.
to connect these and have a map that encompasses the whole area, so to speak. But that requires both a lot of reading of the modules and looking at these and then try to figure out the terrain. Yeah.
Roger.
What other adventures are other people, like the ones that got passed around, what other adventures are people working on?
Ooh.
We know that there are a lot of lens stuff is worked on right now, and there will
More.
be a little bit and
Yeah.
more is work. There's more work being done on lens stuff now, so there will be more to be seen in the future from his work, and then then Carlos, he's
Carlos.
working on Fireland.
Which is more of a source book.
That will
right?
be like a whole setting book in
Yeah.
itself, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the material he showed it, and it's the same thing as with this. It's a lot of commissioned art, and it's basically a whole setting book on Fireland, and that's why I have hold off and not even thought about doing any detailed work, because I'm waiting for Carlos, and then when we have that, then I can
Yeah.
work with that. So that's also underway, so to speak, when it comes to, I don't know how close it is to being released, or in what shape, if he's going to file off all the serial numbers and release it as a commercial
Yeah.
project, or just to his patrons and
That'd be
stuff.
tough.
I don't think he has made up his mind on that one yet, so I wish he was here to talk
Yeah.
about it, but yeah.
It'd be
It's-
nice to hear.
And it's a shame because, like, for example, I know Joe Block gave up on waiting. Like,
Yes,
and then,
exactly,
He
yeah.
just released all the stuff he had done for
yeah,
5
and
years.
Yeah.
Joe Block made
Yeah.
basically took a lot of the Greyhawk material. He made a 5e translation of it. So you have all the spells from Greyhawk Adventures, all these named spell and stuff. Spells are available on his website, Greyhawk Rognard, and in 5e format, so to speak. It's a great resource for anyone who wants to run Greyhawk in 5e. Plus a lot of the other stuff, and that he's done previously, and also have some of the best work on the Earth as the planet, so to speak, that I've used inspiration of what I want to do. But we've had different aim with it. He wanted to kind
There's
of
that
capture
conflict you were asking
yeah,
about.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so my aim for that will be to make a terrain canvas of the planet. I don't want to dig into who lives there or anything like that. I just want
Right.
to start modeling the planet as a planet, and the terrain as a base canvas for anyone to write up their version of Lynn, or I should not mention the other names from that, but from people who want to have the rest of the planet, so to speak. And I've taken a little bit back and forth ideas around that, but I don't want to step much further. So my work on the planet will be terrain, climate, and these kind of basics, and as a world building tool, rather than presenting and say, oh, this is what it looks like in detail. That's not the aim for it, so to speak.
And have you mapped all the modules, like the cities for the modules, like Dawnwater and all that in your world yet?
No, you haven't.
No,
Yeah.
no, I
I
haven't.
don't
I
think
haven't
she
been
has.
in my world. I've in my campaign. I've never been on Lendor Isle. I've actually avoided
no.
a lot of the iconic
Some.
locations.
Some.
I mapped.
Some.
I've had some campaigns back in Temple, Elemental Evil, and everybody.
Right,
But but since I started mapping, I've actually tried to go to places that doesn't have any real develop for a couple of reasons. First of all, I don't want to touch iconic because I feel like I'm kind of spoiling them in a way, because I want to break new countries or new areas. And Shieldlands was simply, I chose it simply because there was nothing on the map.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was so
100%.
empty, and it was the biggest, because some of the biggest challenges, if you just have a bunch of green hexes like that and nothing, that is both an opportunity, but it's also real difficult, because you can't put any major features there, because then there would have been something on the Darlene map or in other maps like in the Marklands and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cartography challenge, and that's usually the fact when you map existing settings. As a cartographer, what you usually have to do is fill out the void between there. Meaning, when you read the stories, there's like an iconic volcano here, and there's a swamp over here, and there's some jungle down here, and then there's a 500,000 square miles in between that is not covered by the stories. So my job when I'm doing setting maps is
Make
very
it
much
work.
to bridge these kind of iconic locations with something that makes a sensible transition from one or the other. So strangely enough, I put most of my effort into areas that are not covered at all in the text and in the stories. So I usually have to do the opposite from what the writers do. The writers, they concentrate where the action is, and
Yeah.
I concentrate on bridging these kind of islands of knowledge, so to speak, into something that will make sense as a world, so to speak.
Nice.
Yep. But that's a great question. Yep.
I have a more basic question. Basically, you guys mentioned where you're bringing new players to Greyhawk.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason why I'm here today, to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your main selling points for the setting, or like most iconic values of that setting, in your opinions?
Great question.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah.
Definitely
Good,
the
Mike.
modules.
The amount of information available.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a printed amount of, like, you could just go in and everything's ready for you. Where it's at, what the locations are, history behind it. You can probably Google, Hardby or any of the minor cities and come up with a list of what the government is for that year, who the main people are, what the commerce is, their exports, their imports. Like, there's a couple of, what's the main page that has all the?
Campfire Discord.
Yeah.
Yep.
Campfire Discord has every adventure ever written for Greyhawk, whether it's Carlos's, published source, Dragon, Dungeon magazines. You just press on it, it shows you which one is there in that on the map. There's also a city. There's also a city, any map you press on, like for example, you can press on Harbor, it'll show you all the maps that were created for it.
Yep.
And then there's also location area cards a lot of us did,
Yeah.
describing all them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of data.
Summarize
And Greyhawk
every.
Wiki.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
On
Yeah,
Greyhawk
Greyhawk
Online,
Wiki
the
too.
wiki on Greyhawk
The
Online is
wiki.
also a great
Yeah.
source.
You just,
But
you click on it,
yeah.
it just lists
But-
everything,
yeah.
population,
Mhm.
like it's all there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I want to emphasize another aspect of what you're asking, like, how do you get new players to be interested in stuff in Greyhawk? And I think one of the arguments I want to sell with Greyhawk is that it was the original setting. It's kind of the original first home of D&D, where a lot of the iconic spells, names, NPCs and stuff came from. And I think that historic value of Greyhawk, meaning there are other settings that are more iconic, more themed and so on, but Greyhawk has that kind of generic D&D feel to it, and that aspect is kind of cool. That's where Big B, Mordenkainen, and a bunch of others that have famous spells, and some of the famous old villains like the Drow, Vecna, and so on, where they originally came from, and that I think is a kind of a cool way of selling and saying this is where it began back in the day, so to speak, and doesn't mean that you need to run it exactly as it would run back then, or you don't need to. It's great. You can either run the old classic modules as written, or you can take inspiration from them, or you can simply ignore them for time being and just do other parts, so to speak. So, but I think the setting as the old beginnings of D&D, so to speak, and
Great, thank you.
yeah,
I'd like to also add that being a religion major, the Pantheon is tight.
yeah,
It's very balanced and
Yep.
well run and specific, and there's not too many guys.
yeah,
No offense.
I like the precarious nature of it.
yeah,
You're like
yeah.
one war away from the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah,
just falling
yep,
off the
that's
mountain and
that's
just-
also
yeah.
true. Yep.
And the
Mhm.
politics is
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
tension.
Yeah.
Tension and
The
Yeah.
players really matter.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
If the players, there's nobody else. If the players don't do the heroism,
The world can go under, so to speak. Yeah. Mhm.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
Mike?
And
Very
you had a
good.
question? Yeah.
I was gonna comment on that too, that actually Greyhawk was not fleshed out so much that you can't work an awful lot of your own stuff into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of room for you to make it your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can
Exactly.
also pick your timeline, meaning you
Yeah.
can pick up the folio or the original 83 box set and just use that and place your campaign in 576 and say, okay, this is the world situation, and and then as you advance, then you can decide to move over to the wars and from the ashes and incorporate the Carl Sargent era and all that stuff, or you can ignore it and simply develop the setting in your own
Yeah,
direction
I was going to
from
say,
the 576.
you could run every module, every published for Greyhawk,
Yeah.
and the war is just a backdrop.
Yeah.
You could ignore the war stuff and just run adventures, and
Yeah.
you'd be oblivious of
Yeah.
what's going on in the Great King.
Yeah, or you
Yeah.
can simply say, well, all of that have happened, and now I'm going to set my campaign at 600 or the late 590s or something, and just use all of that as ancient history,
Yeah.
and then just dive into it as need be and make your own version. So
Yeah.
those are things that you can decide to do one or the other. There are pluses and minuses with both. So to speak.
Or not use the eastern side of the map, like I do.
Yeah, you can stay. Yeah, and you can. Yeah,
That
you
takes
can
some
pick
skill.
your little favorite region and treat
One
that as
side
a mini setting.
or
You
the
can.
other.
Yeah, you can be on Lendor Isles for years and just adventure there,
Yeah.
or you can take another little realm and simply say, well, this is going to be my new
How
home.
old school are you, Jeff?
Yeah,
What's
and
that?
just
How
stay
old
there.
school are you?
Yeah,
Pretty old.
You not
Yeah.
only don't use the east side of the map, you only use like the lower half of the left side.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I-
You use a quarter.
I
of
love
that.
the Sheldamar. I use the Vesvi. Come on.
All right.
Yeah.
Vesvi,
Okay.
Sheldamar,
Oh, yeah. Now
Harpy,
you've been in
Greyhawk.
Shieldlands too. That's
Shieldlands.
That's borderland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the map? Yeah.
What's that?
Northlands don't exist for you?
Nah,
It's on the eastern map. He
It's
doesn't
where
have
we.
to-
It's
yeah,
where
yeah.
we've adventured. It's just.
Yep.
And it's been enough for us, you know.
Yep.
It's so huge, and there's so
Yep.
much to do, and there's so much open.
Yeah.
You know, it's just our storylines have gone that way, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, so everyone's Greyhawk is different. Everyone's DMing style is different. And that's the wonderful thing about D&D.
Yeah.
Hey, that leads to a good segue. I got, I didn't, these two make me feel like a slouch every year. So I actually brought some.
Oh,
awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, if anyone
He hasn't
wants,
shown it to us yet.
if anyone wants a copy of this on their way out, just grab one.
Oh, look at this.
This is a
Oh.
map of. All right, it's a like a pirate map. It's a burnt map. This shows like the lower South Seas jungle areas on the World of Warcraft map.
This is so cool.
Just
Yep.
just a little piece of the
Yeah.
campaign. You know, you could tease your players with, focus
Yep.
on.
That's awesome.
And it has
Okay.
hexes on it, so it's a proper.
And
old school map.
it's properly hexed like
Yep.
you know your normal maps.
This is what it should be. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Nothing too fancy, but this is a good handout that you could use for your campaign,
Yep.
I'll,
If you want a copy
I'll start
for it.
handing. I'll start handing.
or you could hand them out,
Yep.
or go for it.
Yep. Awesome. Oh, you had more stuff in there.
No, I just wanted to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you
Show
saved
for
one.
the, people
Yeah.
at home.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yep.
So-
Great.
Yeah, I do a lot of Sea Princess campaigns like they mentioned earlier. So this is a map even my friend Eric hasn't seen before. Yep, brand new.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And Mike and I are of the same agreement. Keep the Scarlet Brotherhood out of the Sea Princess.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, who, it just wouldn't make sense. I would hope even Wizards of the Coast would agree. You don't take the pirate campaign out of
The
your
pirates.
setting.
Yeah.
If you remove that, then you're just missing out on a lot of
Yeah.
what fans like.
Awesome.
Oh, hey,
Yep.
Uh-oh.
I didn't come empty-handed, by the way.
Oh, look
I-
at that.
So last year, I gave Anna my hand-drawn Elven map.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-oh.
On canvas. It was a really
It-
fancy
that's an
thing I
awesome-
did for our campaign way back when.
Yep.
So this year I got some for Jay.
I'm surprised. What is
This
it?
is not a map, but I know Jay in Jay's game room, he likes movie posters.
Oh no.
I used to work at a movie theater,
Oh my gosh.
so I'm giving this movie poster to Jay.
Oh.
He can keep it if he wants, but it's staying here. I'm not leaving with it. If you want to give it away, I won't be offended.
Highlander: The Final Dimension. Oh,
Highlander: The Final Dimension. So there you go, Jay.
wow.
There you
At
go.
least it's not Highlander: The Quickening.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
Oh, that is awesome.
That is awesome, Mike.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Just no one else has it.
Yeah, that might be the only copy left in existence.
Wow.
There you go. Awesome. Yep.
I don't know. What do I take down? My Knight Riders poster?
Don't you have more wall space down there? I
I
think you can squeeze it
boy.
in something.
I can't take down Ed Harris riding on a motorcycle.
Oh, you
I just can't do it.
Yep.
So
You have to think about something. Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Got a Tremor 6.
Oh, so I got. If you see my wall, I have a Knight Riders, a Hawk the Slayer. It took me like 4 years to find a full size Hawk the Slayer. I had to get it from Lebanon in
Nice.
English.
Yeah.
A 13th Warrior and an Excalibur.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Caliber.
Yeah, this is cool though, Mike. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a poster of Tombstone and
That's a good one, too.
Gladiator and a few
That's
others,
good.
but you can't have those.
No, I'll take this one definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other questions? I know we've gone over a lot and we're just bouncing around here, but
Yeah.
we really
What do you
appreciate
guys,
it.
what do you guys, oh, sorry. What do you guys most fire for? Like, what are you most driven right now to work on? Like, what are you most excited about? Like, your next project?
Yeah, well, it's that is going to major undertaking. So my goal to have that box set as good as the Free City Growth box set. That's the goal.
When can we get our hands on it?
Well, we're hoping to have a Kickstarter in Labor Day.
Yeah. So my next about 6 months or so will be to work on this. That's roughly the
Yeah.
time that I will probably need to spend on it, roughly, and not full time, about half, 3/4 time, about 6 months.
Yeah.
On it, so to speak, and then I want to wrap up my shield lens area because I've probably run my campaign for another year. So you probably have to put up with some more shield lens stuff. But I show as a little bit. I can show some tidbits that I want to have on from my seminar at the end here, so to speak. A few little tidbits. I have some stuff here at the end here that we can show. I have
7 minutes, Anna, we got. So.
7 minutes. Okay, good. That, I can definitely fill those and another 2 hours, but that was 2 hours on Saturday. So, yeah, but and my computer is really slow. So we'll
As Anna's opening that up.
there we go. So yeah.
Okay.
So I've
Yeah.
created 300 of the new heraldry. There's more heraldry coming, so to speak, and I can do a little bit of just some
Realistic
tidbits.
looking
This is
heraldry.
the heraldry compendium. I realized I forgot to this. I gave it to my patrons a while ago, and that one is I'm putting on a website. It's coming out, so it can be. You can get it on a Noble Dwarf very soon, so you can order prints and stuff on this and a bunch of other stuff is coming, and I also have a heraldry compendium too, the ARD, coming out. So I'm working on a bunch of extra stuff for the ARD, and those are a couple of the teasers for stuff. I have some other stuff. There's over. I think I have 68 slides for my seminar and stuff coming out. So yeah. So and that's a lot of these are thanks to Gary Julian, who helped me. We did all the Death Knight heraldry and some of the saints and stuff from that, and a few other ones are from my Shield Lance campaign that I think fit in the bill, so to speak. Some of them are recreated from my kind of inferred idea of what some of this might look like. And so on. This one is my coloration from a 3rd edition product of the that are the Knights of the.
It's not Robilar?
No,
No, it's not
Robilar's version of this, but it's the Knights of the Protectors. That
Ah.
was a 3rd edition, so
Okay.
to speak. So I used the Robilar coloration as an inspiration for coloring it, so to speak. So that's
Eric, you
coming
had your
up.
hand up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a quick question for you.
Please.
Maybe a long question, depending on how long you talk, so a long question. You said your campaign was set in 623?
Now.
Now.
Yeah.
What changes have you made from the earlier folio and
my
from
gosh.
the versions that have
Yeah.
you've included in your 623 so maybe people that are joining here can see how you are tailored the Greyhawk to your personal needs?
So, I had to incorporate the Iusian War at some point, right? I had to do it. By the way, I started when I was a kid. I read the Battle of Emerald Meadows, and I'm like, we're starting there. We're going to be there. Our character's going to take place in that fight because it sounds cool, and that's where we start. So we start in 569 in our game, and then so with incorporations, you gotta just, it's gotta make some sense. So when the wars came with IUs, we made certain customizations. Certain characters did not get killed off. I was one of the things I really despised about how many characters that Carl Sargent's killed off. I understood, but
Or added.
or added, But Argus has been very localized. In the grander scheme, I haven't really even discussed what's been going on in the Great Kingdom because it doesn't bear to our campaign at all. I'm not doing it, Eric, on the grand scale of what has happened in the entire Flanders. Only what has happened in my campaign areas. They're still fighting IUs. All right. There's always I have a group called the Dark Brotherhood, an organization I've had since like 1980. I also have a Selenian Knighthood organization, the Swiss Forest Knights Watch. Well predates the out of the
Knights of
blue.
Luna.
Well, the Knights of
Yeah,
Luna. They
yeah.
just showed up in the middle of the box set from the
Yeah.
like, and Luke Gygax goes, I didn't know Melf was part of this organization.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I'm like, okay. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that going on because when I started in 1980,
Time goes
all I
by.
had was that glossography. That
Yeah,
glossography
you
had,
didn't have the gods were not.
there were no
even
gods.
published.
No,
Yeah.
there were no gods. We
Yeah.
still use some finished gods in our game.
Yeah.
We have because all we had was deities and demigods back then. But it's evolved and that's okay for what you do in your Greyhawk.
Yeah.
You can, I use a couple deities that we've ported over to Red Knight from Forgotten Realms because I think I know there's Stratus, but I prefer the Red Knight and Lawful Neutral God of War. I just prefer it. I think it's a really great battle strategy deity. So we added it in. And I always listen to my players. That's a key thing. Listen to your players, and if they come up with ideas, run with it. Custom classes we've done, and all sorts of customizations. It's their game too.
Yeah.
And
many-
but overall, it's always centered around that Order of Ulick because I said to myself when I was a kid, why is there a Pomarge and there's a river and there's no protection whatsoever on that border with the Principality of Ulick? There's nothing.
Point.
Yeah.
There's not a single fortress on that border. Why? And that's how we came up with the Order of Ulick. When it came out in 1980, and we just ran with it from that point on. And then if you notice in Living Greyhawk, they lose half of the Principality of Ulick.
See, they didn't have them.
Because they didn't have them, and I'm thinking to myself, well,
Yeah.
that was what happened in my campaign, in the '80s. So
Yeah.
it's just, and everyone's Greyhawk evolves differently, and that's the wonders about the setting.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole bunch of not bashing Forgotten Realms. We don't have a time of troubles, right? We don't have a lot of that. We have this big war. The one thing that happened, and during the Paislehawk era in Living Greyhawk, you guys pulled that back a lot. I know, Roger, your 2.5 publication pulls back a little bit, right? Or was that? Yeah, that was yours, right? Greyhawk: The Adventure Begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulls a little bit back from the Crook of Ral and all
Oh.
that, right?
It was wonderful summary.
What had been left after the Greyhawk Wars wasn't really playable.
Yeah, exactly.
Eliminated the chances for low levels to get out when you've got
Yeah.
dams running all over the countryside.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
IUs has wiped out, huge parts of the home.
Evil
homeland and
wins.
everything. And it just wasn't workable, and I strongly felt it needed to return back to something close to what Gary Gygax said.
Yeah.
As I was saying,
Yeah.
vision, the
Yeah.
it needed to retreat. There were fortunately tools to do that.
Yeah.
Made sense.
Mhm.
And it just had to,
Yeah.
go back,
Yeah.
to a partial, really has got more stuff than he had before, but he can't do things that he wants to, and, we got all the dividends kicked out
Yeah.
right away, so.
Stalemate's a good thing.
Well, yeah, and that product launched a whole new wave of a new
Yeah.
golden era of Greyhawk products that came out over a
Right.
few years. Though that was fantastic. Yeah.
That was when I
Yeah.
started Greyhawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he wrote.
Exactly. That was part of a second
Wonderful.
golden era of Greyhawk products. Thankfully, there've been several really good eras, and then there's been another decade or so of complete absence of Greyhawk products, and then another era have come, and they've been different, and in some ways they complete each other and complement each other. In some ways they contradict each other, and that's part of both the problems, but also the opportunities and the appeal for the setting. It's not set in stone, and there's no exact lore and everything, which means that you can dabble and tweak and and cherries, steal the cherries and pick the cherries out of what you like, so to speak. Just like you can do with other fan creation stuff, including my maps. Don't take them
Right.
wholesale, and you can download them and even the source files and make your own version of them. That's the
And
idea.
then over the years, great stuff came out. Like Paul Luby's article that they put out in Dungeon
Yeah.
for Hardby,
Yeah.
right? Was brilliant. It was great, and I was like, I want to venture there. And then I found our Journal 10
Yeah.
had that other Hardby article, and I merged them both together. And now we have 3 adventuring groups in Hardby we play because of that article that came out. And there was always some great stuff. The Slavers reference is fantastic, right? Scarlet Brother reference is great too, and just there's been so many wonderful
have all the
publications come out.
flowers.
I also think
Oh,
Expeditions
well,
of the Ruins of
then we're
Greyhawk
Yeah,
is
so I
brilliant.
should start
I know that
putting
finishes it out with Eric Mona and James Jacobs and Jason Ball. I thought it was a brilliantly run synopsis adventure. So, but other than that, the other thing I'm really excited about is June 3rd, Saturday. We think it's that date. Will be my 1,000th adventure.
Yep.
Okay, and we're gonna run it in a morning, Saturday morning, and just less like we did when we were in college and high school. All my friends, we're just gonna play all day long. We're playing a legendary game. It's on the Wall of Fame that we have. One of those 24. So you take a guess at one of those, and we're just gonna run it all day and just have fun with it. And I'm excited about that.
I'm just starting
so.
to pack here in case there are people
Yeah.
running in here
We're
and
at
want to
So-
have a
time,
seminar
I
while
think.
we're wrapping
Everyone
up.
get one of those from Mike. The one thing I can give. Does anyone want this Dewey Carthix? I can give you that. Anyone want that?
Right out.
Oh, perfect. Keep some of that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's available on PDF. You can always reach out to me, and we can get them. Best place, find us is on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have Gavin on 7:30 or 7 o'clock on Sunday nights, and we have Fantasy Mapping Show once a month. So I
Yep.
really appreciate your time. Hope you
Oh
enjoyed
yeah,
it.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. And we have a nice audience watching. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. I can't have the Gavin night. My voice is shot. So,
Easy.
as you can hear.
Break it down.
Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.